It is just a huge honor today to be podcast interviewing Cole Herzik. Wave your hand, Cole. And Matt Havass in the middle. And on the right, Seth Calish. And they're all the way down from Brandon, Florida, which is, where Sarasota, Tampa is. There's a dental school there called LECOM. And are you all third-year dental students?
So Seth and I are third-year dental students, and then Cole is a second-year dental student.
Oh, okay. And Cole, you're not allowed to talk because you're not in the clinic yet.
A lay person.
You just have to sit there and look pretty. You can't say anything. Seth attended Florida State University and was a brother of Pi Kappa Alpha Fraternity, is an Eagle Scout, and later earned a master's in medical science at the University of South Florida Morsani College of Medicine. He is currently a third-year dental student in Florida and has held many leadership positions such as president of his class, president of the Dental Business Management Club, and ASDA District 5 Advocacy Chairman. Most importantly, he started the Dental Student Vibes podcast along with his colleagues Matt Havass, Anthony Wallitsch, and George Gerakios. They were busy today, but Cole made it. Cole, are you their representative or their attorney?
Maybe a little bit of both at times.
And the Dental Student Vibes mission is to help dental students and new grads become top 1% dentists in clinical, business, marketing, and personal finance and live a happy and fulfilled life as a dentist. Whether you are a dental student applying to dental school or already a practicing dentist, they bring you the tools you need to crush any aspect in a life of dentistry. Join their discussion and take control of your destiny to become successful in school, business, personal finance, marketing with their podcast. And by the way, yesterday someone posted on Dental Town, some dentist posted, assistant leaving for dental school. Any ideas? And the only thing I posted was your podcast. I posted the book, 7 Hacks to Boost Your Dental School Application, a quick read for pre-dental students and must-have tips to set yourself above the competition, available on Amazon. And then you and your Dental Student Vibes podcast. So how are you gentlemen doing today?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Ferran. We've been looking forward to this for forever. I mean, we've been listening to you before we started dental school. You've led us along the way. So first of all, thank you so much for having us.
And seriously, you mentioned Dental Student Vibes podcast. We recommend to our listeners and to our students that we have in our Facebook group all the time. Dental Town, free CEs. Like, are you kidding me? That's amazing. We love that great content, that great outlet that you have. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, man. We need to thank Al Gore, who invented the internet. And if it wasn't for him, none of this would ever happen. But yeah, it is so amazing. I couldn't imagine. I mean, it seems like yesterday I was in a room just like that. We rented a house, 5 guys, oh my God, it was so damn fun. But I never would have imagined when I was in that house in Kansas City by dental school with George Rui and Steve Matthews and just had the most fun of my life that, 10 years after graduation, there'd be an iPhone, this thing called the computer. We heard about computers, we heard about them, but you never saw one. That was something that IBM and big government agencies would have. And every time I look at a bunch of kids like you, I just think to myself, you have no idea that in 20 years, probably a third of the jobs will be in industries that haven't even been invented yet. And I'm just looking at you guys thinking, what is going to be your iPhone? What is going to be your personal computer? And it's just happening at the speed of light. So you'll never see it coming. So what you need to do is you need to be prepared to see it. And that's what I always try to teach kids first at your age, is that all the major wealth, all the major women, they're always big technological breakthroughs. And it started in like the 1850s with the steam engine. But at first, they're all big and clunky, and all they could do is pump water out of flooded coal mines to bring them back operational. But everything always gets faster, easier, higher quality, lower price, and smaller. And as the steam engines got smaller, eventually they could fit on a boat and started shipping. And then when they got to America, they needed canals and railroads to unload it, and one thing that's the other. So, but when you look at the stock market, it basically was the telegraph, the steam engine, telegraph, which turned into the telephone, which turned into the internet without changing the wire. Remember that copper wire? It was for the internet. Same damn wires for the telephone, same damn thing. They've improved it, but you see where I'm going with that is that what you need to do is spot technologies. And all the rewards are for the people who spot them first. And most people, when something new comes along, they stare at it like a drunk sailor for a long time. And I have to tell you, I stared at Amazon from 94 to 99. When Amazon came out, I just didn't get it. I mean, who would want to do this AOL dial-up and wait 10 minutes for a photo to download when you walk out to your mailbox and there's all the catalogs and all the things. And finally, I decided in 98 that I was going to do this internet thing. And I didn't have one single person in my life that said it was a good idea. Not one. Nobody. So remember, in fact, my dad and my sister, my baby sister, Shelly, they spent the entire day in my kitchen one time, and my sister just bawled like a baby all day. She goes, "You got to stop doing this. You're crazy. It's never going to work." Because it was 1998. I had finally got completely out of debt. Student loans, house, everything was out of debt. I'd finally had $1 million in the savings account. And then I decided I was going to do Dental Town. And 12 months later, I had spent all that money and borrowed another $1 million. So I went from $1 million plus to $1 million under because it was the Y2K, and everybody had to. Everybody bid up the price of programmers to just stratosphere. I mean, they were making more than dentists back then. So what I tell you guys is that there are going to be mind-boggling changes in life, in dentistry, and everything you do. So what you have to do is have a very disciplined radar system so that you're not sitting there like, talking for an hour. Or is that 3 incoming missiles coming into our town? Or those foreign air? You need to have a system where what's going to be a game changer and what's not. And you hold up your hand. Is it faster? Is it easier? Is it higher quality? Is it lower cost? And is it smaller? And when it answers all 5, it's going to go that way. But what are all your old people going to do? Protect the way it was. Protect the look at orthodontists fighting Smiles Direct Club. I mean, that's almost the most comical. You have Smiles Direct Club, who on their board is a I don't know if did you see that article by the Atlantic yesterday? About the Atlantic yesterday post this article. Basically, the Atlantic was saying that there's Americans spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on orthodontics, and there's just really not any good research that shows it. It says Americans are spending billions on unnecessary dental treatments. The evidence that braces make you have healthier lives is shaky at best. And they get my legend guy, Peter S. Vig. He's a DDS, he's a PhD, he's a JD, and he's about 8 million years old. And he says, there's no evidence for this stuff. And what you'll see is instead of people saying, "Oh, wow, that's interesting, let's look at that," oh, no, it's just, we'll fight you, we'll kill you, we'll sue you. This is our profession, this is our job. So humans aren't good with change. They like everything the same. And you guys are going to, I think when Jobs pulled off taking a touch screen, an iPhone, your telephone, your telephone, a touch screen, your iPod music, and the internet, and he crammed those 4 things into one device. I always thought that was ground zero for humans. I know that Neil Armstrong landed on the moon in 1969, but I don't think the individual human never landed on Earth till 2007 when Jobs did that. They always lived under an umbrella of totalitarian kings and queens and dictators, and this gave birth to an individual who could just start walking across a field. And I think from 2007 to 2107 will be Homo sapiens' finest century ever. And you guys probably should put on a seatbelt and enjoy the ride, because you're not even gonna. When I was your age, I couldn't even imagine that NASA rocket would turn around, reverse, and re-land. I mean, imagine before that. I mean, every time you rode on an airplane, you fly from Phoenix to New York, they had to throw the plane away. I mean, think what the price of a ticket would be. And then Elon Musk says, well, no, let's not throw the rocket away. Let's reuse it. So I mean, everything is just, these are just the most exciting times. So how does it feel to be third-year dental student in a pandemic?
Well, Dr. Fran, I mean,
call me Howard.
It's definitely not the easiest thing, because most of our classes are on Zoom, so it's Zoom University these days. What do you guys think?
So Howard, I would say the biggest problem is getting used to the sheer amounts of PPE that we have to wear.
Right.
I mean, we look like we're working with Ebola. You got a gown on, then you've got 2 masks, you've got your eyewear, you got a face shield, and it's tough to practice dentistry with all of that stuff. So we're so used to 1 mask, your loupes, and then some gloves. And then now with all that stuff on there, it's tough just to communicate to the patient. We're seeing elderly patients and whatnot. You try to talk to them. I mean, half the time you have to repeat what you say 2 or 3 times just to get your point across. I mean, it's tough on case acceptance too, in terms of, trying to get them just to sign up, because a lot of times patients are a little weary of what am I going to have done at a dental school? Should I go to a different office? So we have to really sell it. It's tough to sell when you have all those layers on. It makes you look less human.
Right. And then from my standpoint, what I see what these guys go through, they're used to having multiple patients in a day to get that great experience so that they're, great clinicians. They're seeing things. That's really the best way to learn. Like, I'm sure you know that, Howard. And they're seeing maybe 1 patient every other day. So there's definitely a detriment, taking a step back. But the one thing is we always try to look on the positive. And the positive is that we are still able to go back in there, obviously with maybe some vision blockades with the, the face shield and all the PPE, but hey, they're still in there, going in there learning. So it's great.
So,
this virus was my second rodeo because I graduated from high school in '80, and that's when, they discovered HIV and AIDS and all that kind of stuff. And my God, in 1980, the dentists weren't wearing gloves. Half of them were still standing up. Just trying to ask them to wear gloves. You see people freak out when you ask them to wear a mask. I mean, when we got to dental school in '83, they wouldn't even let us in the lab without wearing gloves, because they say, we don't even want you to touch that high speed, because we know once you touch it, you'll never be satisfied touching it through a glove. And so I rode through that whole first HIV virus. So this is my second virus. But what I'll tell you is that the stuff, some of it's hype, like maybe a negative air pressure. My jury's still out on that. Maybe those UV lights, maybe that's a little too much overkill. But the question for me is, what will we still do after the pandemic? Like when AIDS came out, a lot of this stuff I don't even understand. Like the thing that hacked me off the most about OSHA was they come to Arizona where it's, it's 116 today, not a cool place. And they told us we couldn't wear shorts anymore. Well, man, my hygienist, I had 3 assistants, 3 hygienists, all these people, and they all love, they came in with shorts and flip-flops, and what I couldn't stand about it, and this bullshit, when you say, okay, well, can you explain to me how you catch AIDS by someone who has short sleeve shirts on? I thought the whole thing had to do about your wanker and sex and all this stuff. I missed the part about your forearm and your knee, and they just said, well, that's a rule. And it's like, well, I can't go to my hygienist and assistant. So that's the stuff where you can start really sorting, what is bullshit. I still don't know what a gown has to do with me not catching AIDS from an HIV infected person. But so my question is not the hype, but what's going to be here 2 years after the pandemic's over? And I think this virus, they discovered it the year I was born. I was born in '62, and I think that's about the year they discovered the coronavirus and the all these things. And they're never going away. You get a vaccine or not, that coronavirus is still going to be a transmissible virus among sapiens for probably centuries to come. It's not going to be eradicated, but it'll be interesting to see which is hype. But the one thing certain for you, I can look at 3 people. I know youth, you're trying to catch a mate, looking pretty, doing the hair, working out, all that stuff like that. And the biggest value added used to be the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. And now I just think they've had their legs cut out, and now it's going to be the American Academy of Disease Control Dentistry. And more importantly is like, okay, so there's 3 people. None of you are probably 30, right? You're all 30 and under?
Getting close.
Are you all 30 and under, though?
Yep.
Okay,
sure.
and how much undone dentistry do the 3 of you have right now? What do you have? Big treatment plans for bridges and implants and gum disease. So everybody that needs all this shit done are the ones they got 1 foot in the grave. Obviously, you start out real healthy, and then you all end up taking a dirt nap within a century, right? And so as they get closer and closer to that dirt nap, they need all this repair. And those are the ones that are most afraid to go see you right now. So who's most likely to go see you? Some 28-year-old person that just went to the gym and they probably need what? They probably have a broken sealant on the occlusal of number 3 that needs sealant repair. Yeah, I got a sealant repair on 3 and 30, but grandma is the one that needs $10,000 for the dentistry. So I am seeing dentists when they're saying, I'm kind of afraid to come in. They say, well, here's the deal. If you schedule an appointment and you pay for that whole thing up front, you'll be the only person here when you get here. So you have a $4,000 treatment plan, and you give me your credit card number right now, and when you get here, it's only going to be you, the doctor, and the assistant, and me up front. There'll be no other people in here, and that's been a huge deal with the people that got money, because people always say they don't have money until they drop their iPhone on a parking lot, then they find $1,000 in like 1 second and go buy another one. And those older people have a lot of money, and they have the most money. I mean, if you have your house paid off, you're over 65. If you don't need, if you're retired, you're over 65. I mean, all the people with money are they over 65. And the fact that we give them, they're the only people that give a 10% discount. I mean, why don't you just have a millionaire's discount? Yeah, we give seniors 10% off. And if you're a millionaire, we'll give you 20% off. And if you're a billionaire, we'll do it for free, because that's how batshit insanity a senior citizen discount is. But who needs a discount? People with student loans, married, kids, all that stuff.
Right. So Howard, one of the questions that we had for you, and this is perfect for what you're talking about, is where do students go from here? Students that just graduated, what are their next steps? Because everybody's, as you know, trying to decide, do I go to a DSO corporate? Do I go into private practice as an associate? Do I do a startup? I mean, how hard is it to do a startup right now with COVID going on, So what's your opinion on where to go from there? And also, especially for the new grads that, they just graduated and they don't know where to go. Fortunately, some of them, were able to get into offices that are really big, have a high patient count. So what are your thoughts on that?
Let's go around the table. Let's try to get succinctly where we want to start with. I mean, that was like 4 or 5 questions. Where do you want to start exactly?
Well, I mean, I guess the first thing we could talk about is right now, right? And then all of us are graduating in the next couple of years.
Right.
So maybe where do we go from there when maybe COVID is dying down a little bit? So new grads.
Well, here's what I would think. Okay, I graduated May 11, and first thing I did is I got my demographics, right? Because, demographics matter. And if demographics don't matter, then I think you should go to the Congo or go to Afghanistan and go practice in Afghanistan for a year or two. Then you'll think, there's a whole lot of shooting going on and there's no money. And then because learning that demographics matter is so important. But if you're born in the United States, you don't understand that lesson. I mean, these people who think they would have been successful anywhere they would have been born, then they were never born in Rhodesia. They were never born in Cambodia. You know what I mean? So demographics matter, and in the United States, it's a very competitive market in the urban areas. By the time you get 2 hours from wherever a Southwest Airlines plane can leave, dentistry is like shooting fish out of a barrel. I mean, there's no competition. Nobody. So you 3 guys, how many of you 3 guys already found your mate and are married and all that's checked off?
I guess maybe
Seth.
Just me.
Yeah, Seth is the only one that's the closest with that one.
Okay, and he's only saying that because he knows his girlfriend's going to see this video, so he has to,
You're not wrong.
He's like, I always say I am single and not married, and my girlfriend hates that. And so that was the old Mitch Hertzberg joke. But the bottom line is the only people I see doing it are LDS. Do you have many Mormons in your class?
We do have a few, yeah.
We do.
Yeah, are they already married with children?
Most of them are.
Yeah, so see, they'll get in a van and they'll drive. 11% of the counties in the Midwest they don't even have a dentist. And so they'll find out, like Iowa has a batching program where they'll give you a list of 10 towns. They'll say, okay, if you go there, the Delta Dental of Iowa will give you $100,000. and someone else gives you 100 grand. I forgot who the other person is. I don't know who it is. The government somewhere. So the government will give you 100 grand. The insurance people give you 100 grand if you got that deal. Well, who will take that in a minute? Mormons. They already got the whole family in a car, in a can. They have family, will travel. They don't care where they impact. And that guy, the first year, he did $1.4 million and took home $400,000. And then you'll ask a dental student, well, why don't you go practice there for a year? I really don't want to, leave Tampa. It's like, well, your mom left India. Your mom went 15,000 miles to get a better job, and you won't go 2 hours from the airport. So that's kind of weird. And number two is what I would advise is to find out where what you want to be, like when you come out of dental school. Let's say you want to go to a competitive market. Let's say I got into a dental office, no money down. So I found the best location, and it was based on demographics. So I did the demographics of Wichita, Omaha. Well, first I called Washington, D.C., and I said, what is the national outlook? And that was, I graduated in 87, so I wrote him that letter in about 86. And they said between 87 and 2000, the United States would create 30 million jobs, and half of them would be in 5 cities. And they were right. And the 5 cities were Boston, Tampa, Phoenix, Orange County, and Silicon Valley. And I didn't want to go to Tampa. That was one of the places because too many insects. I didn't want to go to Boston because of the. I didn't want to go to Boston because. Well, I remember one time when we went to Disney World. My sisters actually. I forgot the name of that city we went to, but anyway. Oh my God! All I remember is people having screen nets all outside their patio doors and all that.
That's Florida for you.
Yeah.
And then Boston was frozen. And then I'm embarrassed to say this now, but at the time when you grow up in Kansas, you think everybody that's crazy on drugs is in California. And I didn't want to go out there and raise a family because I was really scared of California. I think the nuns just freaked us all out that was where all the weirdos were. And then I saw Phoenix, and I looked at Phoenix. 2/3 of the people that moved to Phoenix were from the Midwest, where I was from. I thought that's where I want to raise a family. And so then I called Phoenix, or I sent to Phoenix to the Department of Economic Security, and I asked them for their data. And they sent me the 70, 80, 85 mini census. They sent me the 6-year street widening program, the 6-year water pipe development program. They gave me all the data. There's no computers or laptops. I got a 6-foot by 4-foot map. I traced out the 303 census tracts and got my 300 index cards on a recipe, and I just wrote from 70 to 80 to 85, what was the percent change of growth in people? I mean, we're humans, and you're a dentist, and they got they're only gonna have 52 teeth in their lifetime, so it really determines how many people there were. So I looked at the rate of growth, then I looked at housing starts. And then I looked at the most important variable was dentists per 1,000. And I organized them from worst case to best. The worst case was right in 6200 South McClintock. There was a building there with like 20 dentists in it. And that area had a dentist for every 500 people. And then by the time you got to the farthest area out of town, you were down to like 1 out of 6,000. And the difference between practicing between 1 out of 500 people's a dentist and 1 in 6,000, I mean, one is I'm doing everything I can right and barely making it. The other one's I'm doing everything wrong and breaking every rule, and I'm still rich. And right now, you have 11% of these counties don't even have a dentist. And then here's the other thing I don't understand. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to live out there. I mean, this guy was telling me, he goes, that city, that's 2 hours from Minneapolis. Dude, you know how close we are to autonomous driving cars? Like right now, a 2-hour drive is you're the worker bee. You know what autonomous driving is going to be next? It's going to be your car is going to be a box, and you're going to get in there and just going to sit at your desk on your computer, or it's going to be a couch, or you're going to lay there and watch Netflix or a movie or take a nap, and you won't even give a shit that it's a 2-hour ride. You'll probably sleep the whole way. And so I think that's going to be a big game changer. Number 3 is when I found where I wanted to go, I walked into the place and I said, well, who built this 20-acre Safeway, Walgreens, Pizza Hut, Chase Bank? I mean, it's a big center on the corner of 48th and LA. I said, who built all this? And he told me the guy, I said, I want to talk to that guy. And they go, well, I'm his broker and I represent. I said, I don't give a shit who you are. I want to talk to that guy or I'm not talking. So he got that guy. And I said, your guy wants $15 a square foot for 3 years. I'll pay you $20 a square foot for 5. And he said, okay, what am I doing with the extra money? I said, well, you built this 16, 20-acre center. I just got 1,000 square feet. Just build out my 1,000. He says, you're right, and that's good because my subs will do this for a fraction of what you do. If they saw you walking in the door, he started laughing. He couldn't even tell me what the bid would be when they saw some young dentist walk that didn't know the trade. And then I walked over to Healthco, which eventually got rolled up by Patterson, and I picked out all my stuff, plumbed it for 4, loaded it with everything great for 2. They told me the bill, and it was the same as my student loans. My student loans was like $87,000, and this is like $86,000. I said, okay, well, I don't have a dime, so just break that up into 60 months, 5-year payments, and at the end of the 60th payment, it's all mine, so lease to own. And that didn't make him happy, but it was like, you want no deal or some deal. So the landlord built it out. I already had all the equipment delivered, so I walked into a dental office with nothing down, and that's where the hustle kicked in. Because then when I wasn't busy and I had no patience, I'd get those flyers and I'd walk around the Safeway parking lot and I'd put them under the cars. But I was the press the flesh kind of guys, and you guys totally reek that. You have the confidence and self-esteem to do that. And I walk into Safeway and I said, who's the manager? And they told me. And I walked over to the manager and I said, so how's the dental insurance for Safeway? And he starts laughing. He goes, yeah, right. We don't have dental insurance. Remember, this is in 87. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, you married, kids? And he said, I'm married, I got 2 kids. And I brought in big boxes of flyers. I said, if you put these flyers at the end of each one of your checkout lanes, and when you're sacking them to groceries, 1 flyer per family, you and your wife, kids come over to my office, I'll fix you all up free. And he's like, really? So, and that was the greatest marketing I ever did, because the dentist across the street, Mark Woodley, it was so hilarious. He called me out one day. He says, Howard, he goes, I got your flyer that you're putting out. And he goes, and that's cool and everything, but I just can't figure out how the hell you got the flyer in my house. He goes, the flyer's on my dining room table, and my wife and kids, no one knows. They say it went in the mail. There's no envelope. No one knows how it got in here. So I told him how I did it, and he thought, man, that was genius. And so then on weekends, I would like go to apartment complex, and it'd be like a Sunday. And while everybody else is doing whatever they do, I would pull up in that apartment complex, and I would go, it'd be like 6 blocks from my office, 400 units, and I would knock on every single damn door, and I'd say, hey, I'm Howard Ferran, up there by Safeway, by Chase Bank, and that little Today's Dental, that's me, and I'm going to be there till I drop dead, and hey, if you ever have a dental problem, come and see me. And every third person the whole time would say, well, actually, can you see I got and then next thing you know, I put down my backpack, I pull out my little dental mirror and my little flashlight, and looking in there, and couldn't see nothing. And my clothes was always like, well, I'll tell you what, I really need an X-ray, and I'll give you a free. If you just come to my dental, I'll take that X-ray free. But I've seen it. If I could take one X-ray, I could tell you exactly what that's going to do. And sometimes we go right then. I mean, we would go. It'd be like on a Sunday morning at 10, and just drive down there. And next thing you know, I'm 2.5 hours later, I'm doing a molar root canal and everything. So a big part of the success is the hustle. And I've seen it my whole life where kids like you, I can already see the hustle. Like, I don't care if you have self-esteem or not, or even if you can see it in yourself, I can already see it in you. If you hustle in non-competitive dentistry, you're going to crush it. I mean, look how hard you'd have to hustle if you all 3 told me, well, instead of being a dentist, I'm going to be the next rapper in L.A., or I'm going to be the next Tom Hanks movie star. That is a whole nother, or getting in the NBA or the NFL or something like that. I mean, that is crushing it at a very rare level. But dentist, are you kidding me? There's only 2 million dentists on earth, and nobody doesn't go to the dentist. Only 5% of Americans go to a chiropractor. 95% see no value in this holistic activity. But dentistry, everybody, if you live long enough, you're going to see a dentist. If you don't have any teeth, well, I'm sure your sister didn't pull them out. You always end up seeing a dentist. So the people who hustle, and also our closers, I mean, like, you would meet them and do you have a business card? And let me tell you the difference between someone who's entitled and someone who's a hustle. I mean, if that's the spectrum, someone come in and they get done and they'll just think, well, if I did a really good job, I just assume Seth's going to go home and tell his girlfriend and she'll probably be a patient next. Well, that's just a lot of maybe so, maybe not much going on. A little more hustle. I'd be like, hey, Seth, here's my business card. When you go home, when you see your girlfriend tonight, I'm trying to mention your girlfriend as many times as I can, so you'll score some points from this podcast. And give this to her. Well, that might have increased the deal. Here's what I do. I'll sit there and this is the hustle and Howie. I'll say, hey, on that phone of yours, how many contacts you got in there? Almost everyone says, I don't know. Most people don't even know how to check. Have you guys ever even checked how many contacts you have?
I have no idea how to do that.
I don't really know. No, yeah.
Well, try to check. Try to check right now.
Last time I checked, I have my phone recording. The last time I checked, I had somewhere in the neighborhood of like 400, 450.
Okay, 400. Seth, what do you got?
466.
Okay.
Like 387.
So Matt's the only one who didn't make the 400 club. I'm sorry, Matt. 387 now. But the bottom line is that so let's say all three of you guys 400. And then I'd say, who out of 400 people, which one of those people really, really, really needs to see me? And at least one out of every other patient. Oh my God! Sunday we were at Ma's house and she's cooking dinner, and my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, he couldn't even close down all the way. And I'll say, well, FaceTime him right now. And she's like, what? FaceTime him right now. And then her eyes get real big, and then she's FaceTiming, and then all of a sudden she's like, Matt, I'm at my dentist's office, and he wants to talk to you. And then right there, Matt, Sharon says that Sunday you couldn't even bite down all the way. What up with that? And he's like, oh yeah. And then he look and everything, and then I'll sit there and I can explain it. I mean, come on, it's number 30. The area is swollen. What are you thinking? Angioplasty, a leg amputation? I mean, come on, it's an extraction, it's a root canal, something. And I'll just say, well, come on right now. I mean, dude, you need to come in here. I mean, I've been doing this 32 years. That if you can't bite down all the way, I've seen that go to Ludwig's angina and swelling and an IV antibiotic in 24 hours or less. And they'll get down there, but it's always, and then the other thing is same-day dentistry. I mean, these are extreme examples, Hustle, but look at same-day dentistry where, someone, the mom, she had to leave work, she had to go pick up her kid out of school, bring the kid in here, the whole day's half shot, and then you find a cavity, and they're like, okay, we'll go up front and schedule another time, because Dr. Lazy Ass is going to go to lunch here in another 5 minutes, and I just reverse. I'm like, oh my God, so you had to leave work, go pick up your daughter, come down here, and now I'm the dirtbag that tells you she has a cavity. Well, you don't want to come back for that. Let's just knock it out right now. And then my hygienist, it's like, well, why isn't she already numb? When I come in here. And then you go into your dentist's office. Well, we can't do it in this room because we have an operatory that we spent like $50,000 on, but it doesn't have a drill. Well, I mean, what if Southwest Airlines just every other 737 they just like take off the landing gear? What the hell did you do that for? Oh, we just want to be like dentists. I mean, we're in a room and you have a cavity. Let's do it right now. And the hygienist say, well, my next patient's here in 5 minutes. Okay, well, we got 8 rooms. And she says, well, this is my room. This is my room. I'm like, okay, so it's about you. It's not about the customer. It's not about our close rate. It's not about, for every time you diagnose 100 fillings, the national average only drills and fills and bills 38 out of 100. I mean, and dentists would have to double their close rate just to be shitty. Right. How pathetic is that? Well, if we doubled your results, you'd be shitty. I mean, your close rate should be 70, 80, 90. The national average just on decay is 38%. So it's just a mindset, and I already see the mindset. I mean, I can already smell hustle. So the bottom line is hustle. And then the other big major mistakes is you got to marry right, because most people, when they see a dentist and a lawyer, when they see an MD, a JD, or a DDS, they think, wow, I'm actually hot. I could trade my hotness in for a doctor of law, dentistry, medicine, and I'll never have to work again. And in the state of Florida, after 1 year, he'll give me half of everything he ever makes. And, oh my God, you're in dental school. My only advice while you're in dental school is grab one of them girls before you get out. I mean, you're either going to go marry the cutest girl at the Waffle House who's going to destroy $10,000 a month from age 25 to 65. That's like $5 million. Or you're going to marry one of those girls in your class who's going to make $10,000 a month from age 25 to 65. That's $5 million plus. So that's a $10 million spread because you picked the girl in the Jordache jeans who was the cook at the Waffle House instead of the one next to you who has a doctorate. And you're like, yeah, I really like Amy, but did you see that girl at the Waffle House? I get it. You're 25. You're half hormones. I understand that. But when you marry that waffle cone whatever from the Waffle House, it's the coolest thing in the world for a year. And then you're over it. But you're stuck with someone that destroys $10,000 a month for 4 to 5 decades. And then in marriage, it's communication. This girl's a dentist. She knows all of dentistry. The other one knows how to cook a waffle. I'm telling you, when I look back at 32 years ago, everybody I know that got married in dental school class, it's double doctors. Well, I'll take it another extreme. Which consumer group does Australia target because they have the highest expense tourism industry because you got to add a 16-hour flight to Australia? I mean, so they have to target people with a shitload of money. So who do they target? Right. Gay people.
Right.
And why do they? Because the Sydney Gay Parade every year has more people than the Olympics, which is only 4 years. But to put on the Olympics, you got to put on casinos and stadiums, and you got to do billions of dollars of the infrastructure. For a gay parade, you need some balloons. I mean, you don't need anything. And they get more people than that but why are gay people so wealthy? Because they're double income, no kids. When you marry a doctor, a lawyer, an MD, you're double doctor. There's so many doctorates in the house. I don't even care if you have a kid or not. But so marry right. And if you're on a date and they bring the check, and I mean, she should at least fake it. I mean, she should at least grab her purse and lay the plastic card on the bill. But if she doesn't even fake it, oh my God, run. Because I guarantee you this is going to be the most expensive bad idea you've ever had. And I'm telling you all this because, remember, you're at this stage of your life, you're all going to get out the world's smallest violin and start playing me a song. Oh, Howie, I got $400,000 of student loans. Yeah, your first divorce will cost $1 million, okay? I mean... Right. My divorce was $3.8 million. That's 41 times higher than my student loan debt at $87,000. So whenever you listen to financial planners, I think it's so funny how whenever you listen to financial planners, they talk about everything except financial planning. I mean, that's the only subject they never talk about. And if you want to talk about financial planning, don't get married and don't have any kids. And we're done with the discussion. And the next thing I hear, oh, you're married, it's a stay-home wife, she's Mormon, and you have 19 kids, and you live in a shoe. And that's great. That's great. But don't come whining to me about where's all your money. You intentionally decided to marry a non-producing spouse, and if they don't have anything to do, they get so damn bored. And when you're young, you'll think, well, at least we redid the kitchen, so we got that out of the way. Yeah, 2 years later. 2 years later, I changed my mind on the entire kitchen. So I'm just ranting along. I could just keep ranting, or do you got any more specific questions?
Howard, we got one more question. I know a lot of us.
One more. Oh my God.
I mean, we got 1,000 more for you, but you know. So one of the questions a lot of our listeners ask is when they get into ownership, what are some of the best things to look at? when trying to hire doctors, and then also at the same time, from an owner standpoint, hiring associates? And how do you make those associates stay in your practice and prevent turnover?
Okay, well, you can't make them. That's what the whole Civil War was
right.
over. They don't. You can't make them. But I'll tell you what. That is a good question on the fact that the biggest return on investments you're going to get is from your understanding of humans, and everyone else like in my two older sisters joined the nunnery straight out of high school. I mean, straight from high school. I talked to my older sister this morning. I mean, she's been a nun. God, oh my God, like 40 years. If you don't do what she says, you're selfish. See, when I do what I want, I'm following my own self-interest. But if it's not what she wants, I'm being selfish. So everybody's trying to control you to be part of the story of their life. Nobody wants you. Nobody had you for you and wants you to be for you. I mean, the way I tell my boys, I said, look, Homo sapiens, about a 1 million year old species, and about 120 billion of them have come and died since mitochondrial Eve. And we spent the whole lifetime, it was in the northeast mountains of Africa around Ethiopia and Sudan. We just sat up there from the ocean to the mountains for 1 million years. And 120 billion of them died, and you don't know any of their names. And right now, there's about 8 billion alive, and you don't know 99% of their names. And the way that the birth rate's coming down, we'll never even hit 10 billion. We'll hit like 9.8 and start drifting down. You already have the dozen richest countries in the world have a shrinking population, especially when you back out immigration. So the herd. So once you get, if you can't read or write, you're going to have 4.5 kids. But once you can read and write and have an iPhone, you find out you would rather have a car, an iPhone, and go see and go travel than have 4.5 kids. So birth rates are going to come down. So the point I'm trying to make is those first 120 billion people live. You can't name one of them. You don't know one of their names. Of the 8 billion alive today, you haven't even met 99.99999% of them. So why do you give a shit what anybody thinks of you? Why do you care? I mean, nobody knows your name. 94% of all the humans that ever lived are dead. I mean, basically, you're at a party in the middle of a cemetery. 94% of the people are dead. And Matt's over there saying, turn the music down. It's too loud. It's like, dude, they're all dead. So the biggest thing is, your parents want you to live a life for them. The church wants, I was groomed to be the first American pope. I kid you not. It was my mom's goal. She had this thing that America never had their own pope. They were always Italian and whatever. And, everybody wants you to live their life. I want you to live your life. You weren't born to create, pay for a stay home and bring in 4 kids. And then you go to the dental office. All my dental office friends, they're the dentist. They got 20 employees, and it is like the employees all expect them to do the most. And that's how management's completely turned around. I wasn't born to create a job for you. I remember during this pandemic, people would say, well, my hygienist, she says that she doesn't want to wear these masks, and she wants to know if I have any research on the ones I bought. Okay, so you're giving her $40 an hour, and she wants you to give research for the one she bought? How about that little person goes and finds her own damn mask and finds her own damn management is this. This is what's insane about management. Everything you've ever read about management is completely wrong, just like everything you read about financial planning. If you never got married, never had kids, and you're a dentist and you need financial planning, that's it's insane. You're already rich. You'd already be a millionaire. And it's the same thing in management. I find you. Let's go to baseball or how about sports. I hire you because you're the best quarterback. And then I watch the first season, and every time you throw the ball, the other team catches it and scores a deal. Well, I'm not going to go down there and teach you how to throw a football deal. You know how I manage people? I manage the HR. I'm going to fire your ass and trade you and try to get someone that knows their job. So if a hygienist asks me, those masks you got, can can you get me some research or some PDFs and prove to me that they're viable? Oh, so I pay you $40 and I do your job? I got an idea. How about I fire your ass right now and then go find a hygienist that has a 4-year degree that can do her own. I want self-starters. I want people that do their work. So what I've collected for 30 years is a bunch of independent people who just do an amazing job, and they make me look really, really good. Then I got all these other friends that just spend all their time on management and taking them to the TGIF seminar in Vegas, the greatest seminar, and we're taking them on a cruise, and I'm always trying to motivate. I pay you $40 an hour, and I'm supposed to motivate you? Hey, I can go to a bar where for $10 a song, they'll jump out of a cake naked, and I have to pay you $40 and motivate you? No, I wasn't born to kiss your ass. I wasn't born to motivate you. I own a business, and it's an HR. And if I want a motivated person, I'll add that to the list. Yes, I'd like an internally motivated person who's a self-starter, who gets the job done. And when they come for help, half the times I'm talking to another dentist and their staff ask him for a help. It's something they could have answered on a Google search on their own damn phone. Really? He pays you $20 an hour, and then he has to do your Google searches? How low does this bar get? And then you look at everyone, take Bill Gates, richest guy out there, period. He's the bomb. Well, how did he get $65 billion? Well, he made 10,000 Microsoft employees millionaires. That Microsoft stock. He created a culture of people that were going to come and burn and churn and do what it takes and whatever. And he only got to 65 billion because he made 10,000 people a millionaire. And if those 10,000 people would have got him to, Bill, I'm stuck on this program. I keep getting an error code. Will you come over here and help me? Because you never help me, and you never do anything, Bill. You just, and it's like, and so I'll walk into a dental office, and I'll say, how long you worked here? 10 years, really? Because the dentist called me up because he's got high overhead. He doesn't know his numbers. It's always they never know their numbers. Usually the dentist works hard. Like, they'll squeeze in a patient through lunch, but he doesn't even know if he made money on the procedure. He doesn't know if they paid. Check this out. I post these all the time, every day, just to keep reminding it. And I post this almost daily. This is this morning. One-time office manager Shirley M. Dunn suspected of stealing at least $800,000 from Adina Dental Practice and unauthorized transactions on her company-issued credit card and $680,000 in missing deposits. And dentists are telling me they're worried about dentistry. If you owned a car wash, could someone steal $800,000 from you? Only in dentistry can you steal $800,000. That's a shitload of money.
Yeah.
That's a shitload of money. And you can steal that much from dumbass, and he doesn't even know it. And then you tell me that's a competitive. Name me, I want a list of all the restaurants in Adina, Minnesota, where the waitress, the bartender could have sold $800,000 and nobody knows it. Oh yeah, I got a job at a bar at Adina, and I ripped them off for $800,000. There's people that would walk here from Argentina if they thought they could get a job in a bar and steal $800,000. They'd walk for a year. Dentistry is so non-competitive, but it's always the same thing. They never know their numbers. So I'll say, so how long you been working here? Because whenever the dentist is stressed out, I know one thing: he's entitled. He was born to create jobs for his staff. He was born to do dentistry at a loss and take Medicaid and Medicare. He was just born to shovel everyone else's shit, and that's just never been my attitude. And I'll walk up and say, "How long you been here? 10 years? And you're on Dentrix, yeah? Hey, run me the report on treatment plan acceptance done. What? Yeah, just run me the report on what % of treatment plans are done. What? well, and it's always this. Well, I think we should get training on that. I mean, I think we should get a consultant or go to that Las Vegas seminar and get motivated. Dude, you've been sitting here for a decade. You just take your monkey paw and you hook it up to the pals and see that little click thing over there, that little icon? Let's click it for the first. So you sat here for 10 years and that lazy whatever it is, I assume it's a sloth from Australia, she never clicked the button. And you're going to think, because you're a social animal, that that's all you. Oh, you didn't find the right person. You didn't train her. You didn't motivate her. No, it's the HR process. You know how many world-class athletes went in the first round and were cut the next year? I mean, people are complex, dude. You're not going to – if you really know how to hire, then I'd get out of dentistry and I'd go work for the Marlins. You know what I mean? I mean, they'll pay you a shitload more than any dentist makes if you could pick the finest players in the draft every year. So humans are complex. HR is not a you're going to perfect the interview and it's going to be perfect. I mean, I've had employees that were perfect for 10 years. And then because of – I've seen like a parent dies and they go a different route or get divorced, or people are good or bad. I think most people that, if they've been married 40 years, they'll say, yeah, 30 of them were probably real good and 10 of them probably really, really bad, but, we made it through 40. But the HR is a process. Humans are complex as hell, but what you need to do is don't give people money unless they're working hard to earn it. And once they have this deal where they think that they're entitled to a job and that you'll just give them money and you see it all the time. I mean, entitlement's a big deal. Entitlement's a big deal.
That's an awesome answer.
Yeah. Right. And I think one of the big things, Howard, is that, you talked about, what to do during COVID. We mentioned it before, like what to do after. Right now, you mentioned a hustler. A hustler sees an opportunity and rises above, adapt and overcome. One thing that we're big here on our podcast team is that we're going to use this seemingly negative time during COVID where we have a little bit more downtime and maybe we don't have as much time in school. But hey, that doesn't mean that we have to be limited in what we can learn. So we're taking opportunities like this. We're interviewing you. We're learning a little bit more about you. We're reaching out to other people to network. We're going to Dental Town. We're going to all these other websites to do CE courses. And we're trying to adapt and overcome to become that, just like you said, from 2007 to 2107, you know what I mean? The best generation of dentists possible to learn all that we can because we have it at our fingertips. We are hustlers. We have a group of Facebook group that we've created of students that are watching live right now that they're in that top 1% of individuals that are hungry to learn and are very motivated. What's your Facebook
group called?
It's the Dental Student Vibes Podcast Facebook group. Just same name as the podcast. It's Dental Student Vibes. And they're listening live right now. And they're that, like I said, that 1% that's eager and hungry to learn all that they can because they want to be successful practitioners, both clinically and financially in the future. They don't want to, just like you said, they don't want to hire the sloths and then not be, profitable in the future, but they also want to deliver high quality dentistry. So they're going to do everything they can to learn all they can.
Well, I really loved your deal and where it said top 1% in clinical, and then it was business, and then you broke out marketing, and then personal finance, where you committed to singlehood, and or only marry another doctor. If you're a dentist, if you're a doctor, dentistry, law, medicine, just make it another doctor, and live a happy and fulfilled life. So clinical. So let's talk about. Let me go through some of those things about clinical 1%, where I see, not you three. First of all, what you should be doing in the pandemic is, I want to ask you this question. But I said demographics matter. Only about, like 1/100% of Americans have $100 million or more, right? It's not the top 1% of 100 million. It's not the top 0.1. It's like 0.01. But tell me who this, the demographics of an American with $100 million.
They got to be a business owner.
Right.
And then I don't know. Do they live rural? I would assume. What's that one book, The Millionaire Next Door?
Right.
Well, let's just start with basics. Is it a boy or a girl?
It could be either. In 2020,
these are loaded questions.
Questions.
I forgot about that.
In today's day and age, it could be boy or girl. But you said basic demographics. So a great delegator, like you mentioned before. I'm paying you $40+ an hour. Are you earning it?
Let me tell you who that person worth $100 million is, okay? Because I'll show you the complexity. Like, 'cause I got a couple of friends that are brokers in North Scottsdale, where a lot of rich people have retired there because they got out of the cold in Minnesota or North Dakota or Canada. And, you know, a lot of people are talking about index funds. And then I said, you know, why? I said to my friend, I said, seriously, why would anybody use you? I mean, how dumb would you have to be? And he goes, well, you want to know how dumb you'd have to be? Because you know he's not smart enough to outpick an index unless he's the next Warren Buffett. He said, Howard, all the millionaires were men who worked 20 hours a day from 20 to 65 and then died of a heart attack. And then the wife got it, sold the business, and then she put it all in bonds. Now she's 85, and they're worth $100 million. She's got more. She couldn't spend the pay. You know why she likes me? Because she calls her every month. It's our monthly lunch. Let's go to lunch. We need to talk about your portfolio. And all it is just attention. And he goes there, and all he does is have lunch with 80-year-old 100 millionaires. And I'm always like, and you're young, you're hot. You couldn't marry one. And it's a pandemic. I mean, she's already, her life expectancy is already a none. And it's like, dude, you should marry one of those clients. You'll make $100 million, and then you can decide what you can do when you become a widow. And he's like, Howard, is this like a joke, or are you serious? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I'd marry an 85-year-old woman if she had $100 million in the middle of a pandemic. I don't know. Is that going out on a limb? But let's go to clinical. I want to start. So that's what you should be doing during a pandemic. You should be finding the oldest ladies in Tampa. And, just the start. Because, come on, you guys will look hotter than any of the men in the nursing home, right? But you need to focus on, you need to drop your girlfriend and find someone who's got a half century on her and at least 85.
We'll podcast at 8 o'clock, and then we'll mail Gigolo at 9.
So clinical, here's the biggest mistake I see with your generation. That is, I've said it before, 1900, healthcare is 1% of the GDP. By 2000, it's 14%. By 2020, it's 17%. At the year 1900, there's no specialties. By the end of the century, there's like 58 in healthcare, and there's 8 or 9 in dentistry, and then now we've added 2 more. So I see young dentists say, well, I'm going to master endo and implants and Invisalign and pediatric dentistry. And okay, so we're going back to 1900. So you're going to have one doctor and he'll deliver your baby, amputate your leg, and fix your eye, and you'll wear a patch. I mean, we're moving towards, we just passed 40,000 monthly healthcare journals. You talk to the best oral surgeons, they'll tell you, well, I still haven't mastered bone grafting. Oh, well, I know a young dentist who's 25. He's going to master bone grafting, endo, pediatric dentistry, Invisalign. So if you're going to be doctor everything, you watch too many episodes where that guy stepped in a phone booth and then came out with a cape on and flew away. That's just not going to happen. Who's getting sued? The weekend implantologist. So here's a really good and hard and fast rule. I can prove to you that nobody makes money on it if you don't do it once a week. So you'll get into implants, and you'll get $100,000 CBCT, you'll get a $10,000 system, you'll take $20,000 of courses, and in the last 6 months you place 1. Okay, we're not in the profit zone. Number 2, if you had to go get a surgery, let's say you were top 1% of your class, which you can only prove your top 1% of your class is if you've already had your vasectomy. And so you show them your vasectomy papers. If you were going to get a vasectomy, would you want a guy who learned how to do it in a hotel and does it once every 3 months? Or do you want the guy that does it 5 times a day?
Right. Yeah, the 5 times a day.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you got one wanker. You want to risk it with some guy who learned how to fix it in a hotel? So the bottom line is you got to get focused. So you got to divide the herd into blood and guts and soft and pretty, and all the money is in blood and guts, and they all want to go to soft and pretty. And what I mean by that is, my gosh, the average specialist makes $320. Average general dentist makes $197. So from 1900 to 2000, it's all specializing. And you know right now today that the average specialist makes $120,000 more than a general practitioner. Now, of course, if you own your own practice, you make $244. If you're an employee, you make $147. So you make $100 more. Obviously, the owner makes $100,000 a year more than the employee just because of risk of that. But when you go to the beginning, a specialist makes $100,000 more than a general practitioner. And I wouldn't play the specialist game. The specialist game, it was all just practice limited endo. And they built the greatest companies. Like the greatest endodontist in America had to be Ben Johnson of Tulsa, Oklahoma, who started Tulsa Dental Products and sold it to Dentsply for like a gazillion, billion, $1 trillion. And then there was John McSpadden in Chattanooga, Tennessee. None of these guys went to endo school. They just told all the friends, you know, the only thing I like is endo. And by practice limited means, if you send me your root canal, I'm not going to take the crown, the patient, the filling. I'm not going to do all that. I just practice limited. And then the dental schools caught wind of this and said, well, you know, you should get a degree in this, and we've had a 1-year program now, and it's a gazillion million, and then 5 years later, well, it's a 2-year program now, yeah, because we really, you know, Pee Wee Herman, you really need to know how to do that root canal filing thing. It's all in the Pee Wee Herman wrist, and then now they've raised it to 3 years. Hell, they'd make it 30 years if they could get away with it. So what you need to do is say, here's to your specialty program. And and then back to demographics. Now you go into a small town. And all the dentists, I love my homies so much because they wear their emotions on their sleeves. You go up to any dentist, what procedure you hate the most? And if they're really high IQ, they'll say pediatric dentistry. I mean, I'd rather go to hell twice than be a pediatric dentist. And he found a town, 8 dentists, all hated pediatric dentistry. And he went there and practiced limited pediatric dentistry, did $1 million his first year. I've seen that with endo several times because most specialists will tell you they make all their money from about 6 referrals. And then, so like 6 people throw them all their regular endo, and that's how they make their money. And then there's like 25 who just send you their broken file, you know, some nightmare thing like that or whatever. And so once you go in there and find, 6 guys that'll give you their endo, you don't need to go to endo school. And for the money that you went to endo school, you could have bought the nicest CBCT. You could have gone to every finishing school in endo. Hell, you could have taken every online CE course in endo. But that's not what the dental school is thinking about. The dental school is thinking about, well, we got employees and we have an endo department and we see a young sucker like you who's going to give us $100,000 a year to get his paperwork signed off. Well, just quit signing the paperwork, dude. If you want to be an endodontist, go be an endodontist. You want to be a pediatric dentist? And I'll give you another example. Texas, this dentist was advertising that he was a dental implant specialist. And the board came after him and said, no, the ADA does not recognize dental implantology as a specialist. The judge said the ADA is a membership club. He said, what are you even talking about? It's a membership club. They're not a government agency. And then he asked the guy, he says, do you just do implants? He goes, yeah, that's all I do. I'm an implantologist. And he says, he's not even lying. He's telling the truth, and you're a membership club. So if you want to be an implantologist, go be an implantologist. So the bottom line is, here's the biggest mental error you're going to make. You always see it from me. Like I'll say to the dentist, are you dentist focused or are you patient focused? Every one of them. Oh, Scott's honor, dude. I'm completely patient comes first. Really? What are your hours? Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5. Okay, well, the Federal Reserve has 3,200 economists with a PhD, and they've published studies every 5 years showing that 100 million working Americans cannot go to the doctor Monday through Friday 8 to 5. So here's 3,200 people with a PhD in economics saying 100 million people cannot go to the doctor Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And what are your hours? Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5. And I'm telling you, man, I'm telling you, it's crazy. Like, and then here's something that I should never say, and I'm going to stop saying it right now. And I'm going to say it anyway because it's Dentistry Uncensored. And that is, I think the worst thing about most American dentists is they were born in America. For instance, California has 5 dental schools, and everybody will tell you that probably the the number one correlating variable to success was not born in the United States of America. Of you three, how many of you were you all born here in the States?
All three.
In Florida.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And because here's the deal: the Americans, they'll come out of UCSF or there's 2 dental schools in San Fran, and they'll come out of U of A or the U of P or University of California, San Francisco, and they'll open up they'll buy a dental office for $1 million, and they'll still just work Monday through Thursday 8 to 5. But that girl in there that was born in Ivory Coast, she's hungry. Oh my God, she's open 7 to 7, 7 days a week. And then the American goes and buys that practice and then goes and buys a $35,000 car and a nice house. She's from Ivory Coast. Guess where she lives?
Small apartment.
In her dental office. She's living in the plumbed, unfinished fourth up. I've seen these things. And then she said, she goes, at 5 o'clock, all the Americans, they all leave, go home for work. By 6 o'clock, my phone will start ringing. And sure enough, man, it wasn't even 6 o'clock. Ding, and she calls them, answer. This is her receptionist. Hello? Toothache. Goes down there, root canal, build up, crown. She has the CERAC machine. She scanned. 2.5 hours, $2,500 on a credit card, and it's a Thursday night. You know, they came in at 6, and she's done at 9. You know how many girls I've seen just in San Fran? I mean, talk about mythical mermaids riding a unicorn. I can give you the name of 10 girls in San Fran who are dentists who routinely can do a $10,000 Sunday by themselves. Not one of them was born in the United States. Oh my God, if Dr. American showed up, he'd need an entourage. Well, where's my assistant to turn on the light? Where's Americans are just overhead. And these people are just mean and lean and clean. So again, it's the hustle. If you're a doctor of dental surgery and you happen to live in the richest country in the world with a $19 trillion annual GDP on a planet whose last year's GDP was not even 80 trillion. So 19 out of 79 trillion is all yours for the taking. And you're a doctor and you're young and you have health and you screw that up. I mean, don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on your mom. You didn't try. You know what I mean? I mean, it's still about the hustle. So clinical, I would say get focused. I would tell you that blood and guts is worth a lot more. So oral surgeons average 448. Periodontists average 330. Endodontists 307. Pediatric dentistry, God bless them, 304. And then the next one, ortho, you drop out of the 300s and you're at 289, and that one's going south fast with technology, teledentistry, Smiles Direct Club. But getting the ability to get someone out of pain and pull a tooth or do a root canal is where the money's at. And then what do I have half the class say? Well, I just want to do bleaching and bonding and veneers. Okay, that's not even doctor shit. You should have done mani-pedis and just added veneers to mani-pedis. You shouldn't become a dentist. It's like when dentists wanted to be a lab tech. It's like you don't become a doctor and then downshift to a lab tech, and you don't become a doctor to do Invisalign. You become a mani-pedi and then just do that Invisalign stuff on the side and don't get caught. I mean, blood and guts dentistry, getting people out of pain is where the money is.
Right, so let me ask you a question.
You bet.
If you're going to choose between clear aligners or implants, just kind of, a general thing that general dentists are going in that direction, right? They're picking that up. Which one would you choose? I understand implants are
implants 10 to 1 because I'll tell you why. Number one with teledentistry, with Smiles Direct Club and all that kind of stuff, the price of that is going to plummet. What orthodontists have shown is that in the last 30 years I've been a dentist is they want more cases, they want more technology, they want everything in the world except they don't want to lower their price. I mean, when I bought my first big screen, I think it was 1990. It was about, the size of that screen that you have, but it was like a meter deep, and it took like 3 people to carry it in the house. And if you dropped it on a suburban truck, it would have killed it. And now they're $500. Well, that's technology. So that price of scanning, AI diagnosis and treatment plan, milling out trays and giving them to you for minor tooth movement and the same tray, bleach, whatever stuff, that is going to do what the orthodontist never did, which is you got to do things faster, easier, higher quality, lower costs, and smaller. And the orthodontists would never budge on their margin. The other one is the universities. I mean, the price, when you look at inflation, I mean, the universities have been growing at twice the rate of inflation for a century. Well, I'm sorry, you blew it. You're twice the rate of inflation. The students that are carrying $1 trillion of student loans, the only reason they're in business is because they went to the mob, and they got the mob, the government, to pass a law that if you declare bankruptcy, you can't get out of your student loans. And that could flip on one dime, and there goes the entire bullshit, highly bloated, highly inefficient. The dental school university, and the private ones are the worst, because after they've just completely stolen all your money for 4 years, you're like, would you like to donate to our next fundraiser? We're having an Easter Christmas bunny, and we need the good people like you to give us good. My God, you guys make $100,000. You never do shit. You've been raising your price every time the earth goes around the sun and passes your anus. You raise the price again. I mean, how did dental school? I mean, I remember when tuition hit $20,000. We're like, what's going on? Blink, it was $30,000. Blink 40, blink 50, blink 60. Now what is it a year at your school? 100 a year?
It's
close
up
to
there.
it.
Yeah. So you know what we need to do? We need to start a dental school.
That's what we need to do.
Solution.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's another example of that. Let me tell you the difference between a hustler and just a give upper. I mean, most dentists, they get up in the morning, they're going out their front door, and they look down at the welcome mat, and they get on their hands and knees, and they go, "Oh my God, that's roach shit. Some roach shit on my welcome mat. Well, I'm just going back to bed." I mean, the littlest thing. I know people who wanted to be an oral surgeon, and they just couldn't get in. So what they do? They just kept applying, and they went to Grand Cayman. They went to the Caribbean. They went to other countries. And when they got their oral surgery degree, do you think a DSO with 1,000 locations gives a crap if you got your oral surgery in Bahamas or Bahrain? You really thought it had to be in Florida, the most high expensive private school system in the world? I mean, so and I'll take it a step further. Like, I understand if you need hospital privileges of oral surgery, you need to get a certificate. But you can sure as hell get it in Puerto Rico. Every time I lecture in Puerto Rico, what's the other one I was lecturing at? Down there at Bahamas. I mean, it looks like 20 times down there. But Dominican Republic has 11 schools. They have 11 dental schools. You really wanted to be an oral surgeon? Oh, but you forgot because Dominican Republic, what? Because you couldn't drive there. You'd have to get on a boat and go part of the way, and then they get their oral surgery degree, and then they come back to the United States, and, they got hospital privileges in a minute. It's like you say you wanted to be an oral surgeon, and you applied at 3 places. They said no, and you already gave up. I know people that got accepted to oral surgery school in 3 different countries. And you're like, yeah, but I don't know if Dominican Republic is as good as Florida. Well, Abraham Lincoln was a lawyer, and he never went to law school. He just went to the library for 6 months, and then went and passed the boards. And you can still do that in the United States. You don't even have to go to law school in 4 states. In 4 states today, it's still the law that if you pass the board, you're a lawyer. So Abraham Lincoln never went to law school, so I guess he's a shitty attorney, right? I mean, just make your own luck. If you want to be anything, any specialty, I say just practice limited and tell the dental schools to go to hell. The dental schools, what they have done by they should have one eye on the customer and one eye on cost. And they had both eyes on your future earnings and took everything they can. I mean, for the amount of money they have taken from you for as little, I mean, your 3rd year, right? Oh my God, I don't want to go there. I'll have a heart attack and a stroke thinking about how much faster, easier, higher quality could have done for you. And they still don't get it. They still don't get it. Now they're trying to get, will the government bail us out? Will the state bail us out? Can we get payroll I mean, someone's got to bail us out. God forbid a bunch of teachers making six figures would have to earn a living. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm not even going to go there. So, clinical review. Get focused. If you're going to be a doctor of everything, you need a time machine, and you need to go back to 1900, okay? But it's not going to happen in 2020. Business, I mean, I love it. Marketing, everything is marketing. Personal finance, we talked about vasectomies, staying single, not having any children. And I say that, and again, I have 4 boys, and my 6 grandchildren are the greatest thing in my life. I admit that, but I knew that intentionally. My mom and dad had 7 kids. I didn't just kept having kids not knowing what was going on. I fully was well aware what this was going to cost. And what I'm shocked about is people who do this and had no idea what it was going to cost. If that's your gig, I mean, I love my 4 boys. I love my 6 grandkids, but I knew exactly what I was doing. And they are by far the most expensive thing I've ever done. So that lives it to the last one, which is live a happy and fulfilled life as a dentist. And the bottom line is, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And if you hate endo, well, they're called endodontists. If you hate something, when you do something you hate for money, it usually ends up really, really bad. Usually drug addiction. I mean, just think of like the last 10 hookers you had. What % of them were drug addicts? Right? Why are all hookers heroin addicts? I did not know any of this, but Matt was telling me about this before the show. He was telling me that the last 10 hookers in Tampa. But so if you do your job and you hate it, but you have to do it for money, you live to burnout. And that's why dentists kill themselves. That's why dentists become drug addicts, because they start making $150,000 a year. And you're not going to do that at Walmart. You're not going to walk away from dentistry and go find a job for $150,000. Why do you think all those teachers are there in that school there? They can't make that money anywhere else, but they can justify why you have to pay it. Really, you earn this much money teaching dental students, and no one else in all of Tampa would pay you this much money on any day of the week for freaking anything. I mean, they probably, they'd have to be running drugs from Cuba to even have a shot at making that kind of money. I mean, they just can't be done. So the bottom line is, don't get in a situation where you're trapped and you have to do things you hate for money for the rest of your life, because it's not going to end well at all. It's going to end really disastrous. So what do you love? And if you love something, there's no money in it, it's a hobby. Most dentists, their implants and their occlusion and their TMJ departments, it's all just hobbies. It's like, I'll say, okay, what is your CE? Well, every year I go to the Pankey Institute for a week, or I go to Dawson, or I go to Ross, Nash, or I go to, and it's like, okay. And he just loves TMJ. I say, okay, well, what % of your revenue last year was TMJ? 1/10 of 1/1,000,000%. Okay, that's cool, but that's called a hobby. Okay? Don't start screwing up your business over a hobby. So if you have a hobby, that's great. I have some of the dumbest hobbies in the world. I have wasted more time watching the Arizona Cardinals. I used to go to Kansas City. It was the Missouri, but St. Louis Cardinals. But I mean, I love the NFL, and I love Joe Rogan and calling those fights. And I could watch NFL and UFC fights all the time, but I'm not going to make any money on it, and I'm aware of that. I'm aware that that's a hobby. That's a huge waste of time that I know I'm wasting, and I indulge it because it makes me happy. I just love the NFL, and I love the UFC, but I never, ever think to myself that that's my business. And then I go into dentistry, and it's really weird. It's like, they'll spend like $200,000 or $300,000 on implant stuff. And then I look at, they've placed 3 implants this year for $1,000 a piece. Okay, so you invested $300,000 to get $3,000 back. This is insane. TMJ and TMD it's like religion. You never want to make jokes about people's religion. My mom, oh my God, when I grew up, every time I even made a religious joke, she'd slap me. My favorite one was she would always point out what other people's religions were. Say the neighbor come over. She goes, now Mrs. Hornbeck, she's a Lutheran, and I always thought, why are you telling me what religion she is? So I always made it come back and say Lutheran. Now, Mom, weren't those the first Catholics that could read? And so I was at all these jokes for it, but I was the only one that laughed. But the bottom line is the bottom line. TMJ and occlusion is a weird religion in dentistry and all that kind of stuff. But you got Invisalign, you got implants, you got what do the patients want? Well, they want evening and weekend hours. They want same day dentistry. My God, I had to leave work, pick up my kid, come all the way down here, and you know what? Seth said? He said, I got to bring my kid back because he found a cavity. Well, shit, dude, he's sitting right here. He's sitting right here. It's an hour back to work, to school. Why can't you do it right now? Well, I have lunch in 5 minutes, and I'm having a vegan tofu sandwich. I mean, it's like, don't be dentist focused. Be patient focused. What can I? Who was? How old are you? Did you just move to Phoenix? No, I've lived here 5 years. Oh wow, you haven't been to the dentist in 5 years? No, actually, I went a year ago. Okay, I'm confused. Why did you not go back there? I mean, I would want you to always come back here. If you didn't come back, I'd be sad. I'd be worried. What happened? Why did you not go back there? Well, they wouldn't take my insurance, or they didn't have laughing gas, or something. And you write those down. It's called getting to yes. Like a dentist will tell me, like I'm gonna go to the Pankey Institute and learn TMJ. I'm like, all right. And what were the last 100 no's that your receptionist said on the phone that obviously is recorded that I can listen to? Because I can't call any Fortune 500 company where it says this phone call may be recorded, so that we can train our damn employees and find out what demand is. And it says, well, we don't record our phone calls. Okay, well, what were the last 100 no's? Like you're going to learn TMJ. Because if you're recording your phone calls, you'd hear that the last 100 no's, 80 of them where you open evening, weekend, Saturday, Sunday, any evening, weekend, early hours? No. Do you take my insurance? No. Do you do Invisalign? No. Okay, so I'm looking at this still. And you started this program, and I don't make any money of this, but the one in Atlanta, Georgia, what's that? The call center club in Atlanta called the teaching. But anyway, they'll start. You start recording your phone calls. In fact, just when you tell your employees you're recording them, they already act differently. They put cameras, those little camera things above check registers. Half of them aren't even wired to anything. But the research shows it drops 99% of your embezzlement because you're standing underneath a damn camera. I mean, Vegas, you don't even know. There's like 500 of those things all over the ceiling. For all you know, they're on break and there's only one guy in there and he's sleeping, okay? But you're looking at that camera thing and I better not mess. So I'll go back and you set up the recording, you listen and say, okay, in just the last 3 months, 9 people asked if you do Invisalign. Okay, that's 6,000 each. So that's 9 times 6. That's 45 grand. And you want to go learn about TMJ and occlusion, and I can't find any evidence of any demand for this. And again, it's just weirdness, and it just always shows up over and over. So the bottom line is, what are your patients asking for? And then if they say, well, I don't like my patients because they're insurance driven. I don't even know what the hell that means. Did they insurance driven? They want lower costs. Where was that not obvious? I mean, what is it news to you that Walmart and Southwest Airlines and Costco is a thing? Is this the first time you're hearing that Walmart and Costco and Sam's Club and Price Club are lower in price? I mean, I always think it's so funny when Dennis says, "Well, they're just looking for lower price," and this is a new thing for me. Where are you from? Are you an alien? I mean, how could you make it into dental school and not know that humans want lower prices? And then here's what they'll do. They'll say, "Okay, I'm only giving you $100 for this filling." Okay, well, an amalgam costs $1. You don't need a rubber dam. I mean, do an MOD with amalgam. I mean, my God, no rubber dam, MOD, amalgam, lasts 38 years. And everybody's happy. They took your insurance. You made a lot of profit. You had lower rate. And then what do you tell me? Well, I don't do amalgam. Ever since I started eating tofu, I'm amalgam free. And then they say these stupid things like they're metal free. Well, do you hear that on Southwest Airlines? Yeah, our planes are all metal free. We realize that there was a big market that metal was not, or they'll say things like natural. Then they say to me like, is it natural? You mean natural like a black hole sucking in an entire galaxy and burping and farting it out? I mean, what do you mean by, or do you mean natural like HIV, coronavirus? Is natural a tornado killing everyone in the house? What does natural mean? I mean, they're just straw man arguments. So the bottom line is, so be true to yourself. You're mad at this patient because they want lower cost. You know what you're mad at? Is they want to buy a Ford Escort and you demand selling them a Mercedes-Benz. They don't want a Mercedes-Benz. They could go get a Mercedes-Benz. And the Mercedes-Benz dealership, he makes a Mercedes-Benz dealership. In dentistry, everybody's a wannabe Mercedes-Benz dealership. No one wants to sell a Ford Escort. And so the people that I know that can go into these big towns like Phoenix and go to where all the money is. I mean, I'm going to ask you this. Would you rather own McDonald's or Ruth Chris?
Ruth Chris.
I'm gonna go with McDonald's.
Yeah, I was gonna say McDonald's.
Well, why don't we put the Ruth's Chris steak in a McDonald's? How about that?
Well, so the bottom line, they're two different markets for the same people. Sometimes I prefer 2 tacos at Taco Bell for $1, and sometimes I like a sit-down Mexican restaurant where those same 2 tacos are like $8 or $9. Sometimes I want to go to Ruth Chris and have a $30 steak, and sometimes I want to go to McDonald's and have a $3 Happy Meal. I mean, the same people aren't all one thing. And that's what's confusing with people is like Steve Jobs. Everybody's like all confused because it turned out he was a shitty father. You know how many shitty fathers were in the first 120 billion? How many of that first 120 billion did the father actually eat his baby? How many winters during the frozen winters coming down where people probably ate half their family? You know what I mean? I mean, I don't judge Steve Jobs on what his a daughter thinks. I mean, he took a touch screen, my music collection, a telephone, and the internet and stuck it all in a damn box. He's a genius that changed the world, and his daughter, who inherited $5 billion, wrote a book bitching about it. I didn't see her giving the $5 billion away. You know, I just saw her making more money on bitching about her dad, who no one ever told her. Oh, yeah, we all talk about your dad because he was a great father. That never even came up. And you know what I mean? So the bottom line is just get focused, man. Get focused on the customer. What do they really want? If they want low cost, why are you doing composite? Why not amalgam? If they don't ask for same-day dentistry, why are you making them wait in a chair for 2.5 hours because you say they want same-day dentistry? If you told me, here's your 2 choices. I can prep, temporize, and press, and you'll be out of here in a half hour, come back 2 weeks for another half hour and seat, or you can sit there in that chair for 2.5 hours and we'll do it in one appointment. I'd say, well, unless you have like heroin or something, how would you sit in a chair for 2.5 hours and wait for that? I'd go insane. So the bottom line, it's always about you. And it should be always about the customer. What does the customer want? So if you become patient-focused, patient-centered, and then I'll give you this last deal and work backwards. You guys have heard of Heartland?
Yep.
So there's a man named Rick Workman, and what he did, totally genius. He did the reverse. So he's in there. He's born in Effingham. Do you guys know where Effingham is?
No.
Yeah, it's in the middle of effing nowhere, okay? And he basically called up the insurance company. He's called up Delta, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and all that, and he says, where do you think I should go? And they say, well, you know, we sell these state contractors for, you know, state employees like state sheriffs and firemen, police or whatever. But, you know, we get most of our complaints from these small towns that don't have any dentists. And they say, well, I'm a sheriff, I'm a fireman, and I got these benefits, and there's no one here that takes them. And there's no one there, period. And so he gave them a list of the 10 best places to go, and Rick went and looked on. You know what that little boy did? He said, if you co-sign the loan for $10 million, I'll go drop $1 million in each one of them 10 towns, and you'll have a dental office in all 10. And they wanted it so bad, they said, that sounds like an awesome deal. That was the birth of Heartland. I mean, just amazing. So then what will you, I mean, another one is your suppliers. Like if you could go to Benco and say to Benco, okay, I really want to go to Tampa And there's no good reason to go to Tampa other than the fact you just love Tampa. I mean, your mom's there, your dad's there. You know,
Brady.
What's that?
Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. I mean, you got the best cheater in the NFL. I mean, my God. So the bottom, if you just want to, it's like I couldn't ever rationalize the NFL. I mean, I just couldn't get my arms around it. And finally, one day, my mom, who turned 82 last Saturday, said, "Howie, you love it. That's awesome. Enjoy it. Quit overthinking that." So let's just say you want to go to Tampa. I mean, you know, Tampa needs another dentist like a hole in your head. You know what I mean? But here's the deal. You go talk to the Benco people, and you say, where in this big city are you have orders to add operatories to expand capacity? And what is the inverse? I mean, addition is followed by subtraction. Multiplication is followed by division. I mean, we got to return to zero or we have to throw math away. So this is where they're expanding. Well, where's the opposite? Where are your account receivables building up at 30, 60, 90 days? And they go, well, everybody in our over 90s over there. And Phoenix, that'd be the Scottsdale, the rich area. And then where's everybody expanding? It's the poor area where there's no dentist. Like Eloy still doesn't have a dentist. I mean, you know, they got McDonald's, but no dentist. So demographics matter. So if you got to go to Tampa, well, it don't matter if you go to Tampa, go to the best part of Tampa. And if you go to the area that leads you the most, well, what's your unique selling proposition? If everybody's over here Monday through Thursday 8 to 5, what are you going to do? I'm just going to do Monday 8 to 5. In fact, I'm just going to do Monday 8 to noon. Will that work? So just get unique. Keep your eye on the and remember, all those other dentists that tell you stuff, they're not going to pay for your kids to go to school. They're not going to pay your mortgage. They're never going to give you a dime. You know who's going to give you every dime you ever get?
Patience.
So like I'll listen to dental. I'll say, why don't you do that? And he said, well, you know, I don't think my oral surgeon would appreciate that. Oh wow, how much does he give you a year? Does he like buy you a house, car? Is he putting your kid through college? I mean, your patient is asking you this, and you're worried about the oral surgeon. And the dumbest one of all is people just spend their whole life worried about what people think of. I'm always finding some dentist who's, you know, on a ledge getting ready to jump because of some patient review or something like really, like 8 billion people. You thought you were going to make them all. You know, every dentist who's ever written me a letter before they'd write me a letter telling me of how I offended them or whatever. I would just get a big red magic marker and I'd write, "Get help," and then mail it back to them. And why? And if you really want, and if you're really worried about what everyone thinks of you, then go to a cemetery and just sit there and start talking to all the dead people, because 94% of all the people are dead. You're never going to meet the other 99%. So if you're going to go into business, it's not about you, it's about your customer. And if you're going to be happy, it's about you. So go be happy regardless of what anybody thinks. And if you can make someone happy, they'll pay money for it. And best of luck to you, gentlemen.
Awesome. Hey, Howard, thank you so much. You are absolutely the best. So I appreciate you spending the time talking to us.
Thank you.
And you've given some awesome stories, awesome advice. The thing you just said about Benco, you better believe I'm going to go do that this week, next 100%. Week, figure out where to set up shop in the upcoming years. So.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me the truth. Why did Matt never say anything? Is he just so damn drunk he can't even talk? Come on, Matt. You could at least say something. What?
I'm just soaking up your wisdom over here. I mean, you have a lot more insightful things to say than I do. So sometimes you got to sit back, relax, and let you do the driving.
He's still thinking about the girl from Waffle House.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to go cut off some girls right now.
Matt, you are not allowed to go to the Waffle House until you're married to a dental student.
Is that if I'm happily married or unhappily married?
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, if you marry another dentist, you got so much to talk about. I mean, you could spend your entire marriage just talking about dentistry. I mean, you have so much in common. But the chick at the Waffle, again, I get it. I was a boy and I got 4 boys. I've lived, I mean, come on, my boys are 30, 28, 26, 24. Ask me how many hours this conversation had come up. I mean, one by one, they all found girls. I'll never forget the oldest one, Eric. He was born in 89. I'll never forget it. I didn't even know the storm was around the corner. We were walking into Safeway, and he hit me, and I looked at him, and he's like, and I'm like, and he's pointing, and there was a display of Coke with a Britney Spears printout. And Britney Spears was, being all Britney next to Coke. And my boy hit me and pointed like, ah. And I thought, oh, my God, that was the first sign of the Hurricane 5 coming to land on the shore. And then all 4 boys delivered their own hurricane. But it's all good. But, hey, thanks so much for inviting me. It was an honor. And if there's anything I can do to help our replacements, when the old guys go out, they just hope they left the campground better than when they found it. And my only goal to every dentist that's over 65 is that we leave the dental campground better than we found it, so that when you kids come out of dental school, that you'll find it that way. And then when you're 65 and you retire, you leave it so the next generation finds their way. So the only thing about old dentists like me is that we should make damn sure we're leaving the campground better than we found it. And I know you'll do the same. If we do it for you, you'll do it for the ones after, and that's just how it rolls.
Definitely.
Awesome. Thanks, Howard. You're the best.
Howard, honor and a privilege. We appreciate this.
All right, guys. Same back at you. Have a great day.